Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Underdog Garage. This is a raw episode.
Yes, we're going to comment on this painting video. Yes, you're going to be watching me paint and moving body panels around, but this is really an honest representation of what it looks like.
That's right, yeah. So
how it's done.
It's a lot of painting footage of our Mazda Miata, so we hope you enjoy it. We'll kind of talk through different things that we're working on and going throughout this, and so let's go ahead and get into it, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first up, we are priming the Miata, getting it ready. So we'll be doing initially we did some kind of prep work, masking and cleaning and things like that.
You'll notice this first door is silver, and then Pete brings out another door that's a different color, dark green. And the reason we've got two different colored doors is because we have donor car doors. The original doors were just too rusted and rotted to use. And we're using our two folding stands, which are handy rigs.
Here I'm just doing a little bit of prep solve to kind of get the panels ready for priming, get them as clean as possible.
Use an Evercoat product. There's a lot of primers out there, but I've used Evercoat repeatedly, and it's just such a great sandable, high build, sticky. I just love this stuff.
It's pretty durable. Like it's just looking at the finish, it came out really strong.
First time I primed with black, which was a challenge because it's a lot easier to see where you're covering and where you're going with the light grays.
Yeah.
But I got used to it. And yes, we are painting outside. The weather was beautiful. We didn't have a breeze. The weather, we waited for this day to be like this so we could do it outside, so that we didn't have to cart all of these parts and the car to the booth just for priming and then bring it back.
Yeah, fortunately it wasn't like a really windy day or, a lot of debris in the air.
Bumpers are tricky to paint because, especially this little devil, because there were so many nooks and crannies and curves. So yeah, for the different panels and the holes on the bumper and the fog light areas, very easy to get runs in those areas.
Yeah.
Here I'm mixing up some more primer. This stuff sets pretty fast, and you really only have, I think I had at a max about 30 minutes of working time. And what I would do is I'd set a timer so that I didn't encroach on 20 minutes. Just because I had once where this settled in the gun and got hard and gelled up on me, and it was just a mess. Here all I'm doing is just a light coat, dusting the panel and getting those body repair areas covered. Just start out with a light cover coat.
Yeah, it laid down pretty nice.
Now we won't bore you with all the footage of all the painting, but we ended up on every panel on this car, probably the hood even more, but we ended up with a total of 6 coats of primer all over this car. So I think I went through 1.75 gallons of black.
Is that typical to go through 6 quarts or 6 coats? Sorry.
No, that's not. It's usually not necessary. But there was, because we had a dark green door and we had a silver door and we had new bumpers, I needed to get the layers built, so I had lots of protection, and I had no chance of any shade difference.
And on those plastic bumpers, because they were brand new, we had to use that adhesion promoter, right, beforehand?
And that had 2 coats of adhesion promoter as well before we even got to primer. But yeah, critical that you do that on new bumpers.
Isn't that because of like or electric static charge or something?
Yeah, it won't adhere, it'll peel. I've seen so many different bumpers, you can tell they weren't properly prepared because it's all peeling.
Yeah.
The gun I'm using here is a DeVilbiss FLG. This is a basic bargain type of gun, but for a $120 gun is a really beautiful performer. And it is strictly my primer gun.
I can't remember if this was after the first or second coat, but
yeah, it's hard to tell. You might think 6 coats is overkill. I probably could have gotten by with 3, but with all the work and the time that we've put into this car to this point, taking another half a gallon of primer and that money that took, and then taking a half a day that it took to do all of that, to me is well worth it.
yeah, for sure.
That's just the peace of mind and assurance that comes from that. I don't regret it.
Yeah.
Now my little mirror rig here is a coat hanger.
Genius.
Yeah, it's totally genius. Man, it's ghetto. Taped up to the wire connector, and then it's just hung from the
Canopy.
pole on the canopy. Works like a charm.
I think you were getting to the end of your paint there.
Yeah, that happens quickly.
Yeah, we were trying to film the painting the body, but by the time we got to it, it was nighttime, and I didn't have enough exposure. I couldn't get good footage.
Now you can't see it here, but the compressor is in the garage, and we've just got 2 hoses joined together. We've got a 60-gallon compressor, 5 horsepower. His name is Elvis.
Big boy.
And the reason I named him Elvis is because the way he starts up and runs, it sounds like he's going, oh. I named him Elvis. Bought it off a Marine helicopter pilot from Quantico. And it was the best $200 I've spent in a long time.
The thing is a tank. It's amazing. It's lasted as long as it has.
But he's still running strong.
Yeah. So here you're laying down the first coat, I think. Maybe second.
It looks like second. Trying to stay with that 50% overlap and just getting good coverage.
And is it the same rule here where you're kind of like keeping the gun a fist distance from the paint?
Trying to be consistent, but if there are any pro painters watching me, you'll realize that I'm still inconsistent with how far from the panel I'm staying.
Oh God! And here comes this train wreck.
Yeah, you did good. We are painting for our Brit friends. We're painting the boot, or the lid of the boot.
Yeah.
And because we have it rigged up on our little cup extender system underneath, you can't quite see it, but it's 2 paint cups that are painted to the edges of the tray stand so that we keep the edge of the body panel off.
Yeah, it was really fun painting for the first time.
Then let me ask you a question. When you get a paint gun in your hand and you start laying down paint, is it nerve-wracking?
The first time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think at first I didn't pull the trigger hard enough, and then you just had to commit. It reminded me a lot of welding. So here you can see how the panel turned out. I think I did pretty good.
Good, yeah.
That rocker panel came out really nice.
That's my proudest work so far, is that left panel.
The doors were flawless too. That was after 320.
A little bit, yeah, 320, around a 320.
So now we're moving on to texture coating. This will be kind of light on footage, but basically we had to recreate the texture, so we masked the entire car on top of our quick jack, just the sections we wanted to hit.
And it's up on the quick jack so that it's more at a better working height. And here I'm using my primer gun, the FLG from DeVilbiss, and then the texture coating that we got from SEM is just a thick, translucent, almost like a gluey texture, and then you change the tip, and you change the viscosity, and you change the distance. There's just a lot of different things that you can do based upon what kind of texture that you want on the vehicle. We didn't go with a really heavy texture, but it's hard to see there, but
You can kind of see.
Rock chip coating. Now you'll see when I remove this masking tape and the plastic drape that I've got that fine line. That's so that I could get a really clean, distinct line. When that is removed, I'll have that drop down from the texture to the actual paint of the body. What we were doing here is trying to replicate the OEM finish on the line.
That pinstripe makes it really, really easy.
That's a 1/4 inch 3M product. Probably the most expensive masking tape I've ever purchased. But it does the job.
How much was it?
It was like $8 for that little roll.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's probably something I'll keep for years.
Yeah. And that's how it came out. You can kind of see that distinct line where the texture coating ends. So now it's time for base and clear, the big moment.
Yeah, here we are. Pete's taking a picture of me driving the...
Trucking it on down to the paint booth.
Now we're in the booth doing some draping. I forgot how many rolls of masking tape we went through on this project. A few.
Yeah.
Now I've got my DeVilbiss, my...
ProLite?
Yeah, the ProLite. A beautiful gun. I use this only for base and clear. My next gun purchase will be a gun dedicated for clear, and then I'll just keep this gun for base.
So painting, what was your strategy with this going in?
Well, one, take my time, even though it was probably going to take me all day, and it did. I was there to not screw it up. Just be mindful, pay close attention, try to keep my gun consistent distance, and do a good job laying it down. But yeah, just being really careful about the edges so that I didn't miss anything.
Right.
And of course, folks, the secret to a really good outcome on your paint job is prep. It is 99% prep, and keeping that panel absolutely clean between each phase. So this panel, before we started painting here, I had cleaned it 3 times with prep salt and gone over it with a tack cloth 3 times.
It's cool when the base coat is wet. You can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like after clear.
Really starts to come together then.
Really pops.
Base is far more forgiving than clear, and yet you can still get runs. And the biggest thing that I was trying to avoid is missing something.
Yeah. Now this was the OEM black, the brilliant black A3F, the original paint color.
Yeah, we went strictly OEM here. The paint product is a BASF RM product, which is a very, very good automotive coating.
Yeah, you can see hidden that rocker panel and quarter panel that we did all that work on. It's cool to see the Miata coming back together and really becoming a whole again.
Yeah, considering we had it come so completely apart.
Yeah, sometimes I stop and look back at the rusty photos from when I first got the car, and I'm like, God, I was a lunatic for buying this.
Remember looking it over and going, okay.
Oh no.
Doing this kind of work does take a certain kind of madness, but it's also a commitment to, doing it right to the level that you're going to take it, and then knowing that there is a lot of work, but there comes a day when you get to see it like this.
Yeah.
I guess we're tacking it down again in between coats. We ultimately did 3 coats of base on this project. But folks, it is proof that being amateurs, We can plan and prepare, use quality products, and focus on keeping things clean and taking our time to prepare each panel and getting ready for the day of painting, and that you can get a professional result and still be an amateur.
Yeah, if you just take your time and do a lot of prep and research and planning. And
in fact, at the end of the day, John, the owner of this shop, came to us and said, "Hey, if you ever need any side work, I'll be glad to keep you around." So we figured that was an endorsement that we weren't complete clowns mucking about in his shop.
Well, the fact that he invited us back after he painted the Celica was kind of okay, like we're at least somewhat legitimate.
And I always bring him a case of his favorite beer. That helps.
Yeah, I think that sweetens the deal for him. Yeah, we kind of had to do some shuffling around of parts and stuff in the booth, and
we had a crowded problem.
But fortunately, we were able to because the Miata is so small. Any normal car, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 stands in the booth at the moment.
So now you're clear coating. And the clear coat, is that the RM product too?
So this was Southern Polyurethane, a clear coat, a high solids.
That's right.
This stuff is like, glass. It's beautiful.
It laid down really well.
And I am laying it down thick. That's one thing. Okay, I can do some wet sanding and take care of some runs. I don't think I ended up with any runs other than the mirrors. For some reason, I always have runs on mirrors.
I think there may have been some on the bumper, possibly.
I don't recall. I probably blocked it out. That's what I'm going to put on my gravestone. His famous last words, "I think I'm done sanding." Because this is the painting part, not the real work hasn't begun yet.
Yeah, came out really nice.
I tell you folks, if it looks like I'm, sweating like a hog, that's because I am. This was a hot day, and being in that booth, even with all the ventilation, it just gets so hot.
Yeah, it was pretty miserable that day.
And I have great respect for people in the automotive business and painting. It is work. It is rewarding and challenging, and yet it is just physically a crap ton of work.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Yeah. So folks that do this every day, it's like I have respect for them like I do plumbers and people that have to crawl on top of hot roofs to fix air conditioning units and stuff. Of course, a pro in here would probably have it painted in 2/3 less time. But now you'll notice I work from one edge back across the hood. That's sort of how I learned and what I practice. The next time I do a hood, I think I'll try from the middle and work out. Wouldn't have such high temperatures here that I had to worry about getting a dry edge, and I had slow reducer and everything. So you'll notice me spending a lot of time on the edges. That's because I wanted to make sure I had those edges really good and built up so that it could stand up to some wet sanding. The fan on that gun is just fantastic.
It's funny how painting is like very tactile and like.
Yeah, very much.
I can't remember what coat this was. Did we do? We did 3 coats of clear.
I did all of those extra coats too, knowing that black is very unforgiving as a paint. So it was going to need to be very well done from a wet sand standpoint, and then the polishing. But we're starting to get some nice glassy reflections going there.
So I think this was coming close to the end of it.
And one of the reasons we painted this with doors off is because of the rocker panel repair on both sides, but particularly on that driver's side. All of that got really, really well covered, and it's just easier. It's just much easier to bolt the doors on afterward. It's starting to look like a new car again.
I think that's pretty much a wrap. Finished up for the day. And I think it turned out really nice.
Yeah, that's before any wet sanding. That's just, we've got it back home and letting her cure and harden up.
Time for the reassembly. Some stuff to sand out of the panel, but that quarter came out really nice.
Yeah, that's my best accomplishment so far.
Yeah.
So many different curves and contours going on in that panel, and then there's so much work.
So that was pretty much all the footage. I think we did really well with it. Did a lot more priming than what would have been typically done, but had to do it right.
Yeah, what doesn't show, we didn't want to have too long a video, but there was a lot of sanding and checking in between the prime coats, the little low spots. So we'd go back through and catch those and use a little bit of glaze, fix them, sand them, get it right again. So all of that combined, on some areas there's probably more than 6 coats, but it's a necessary step to get that just panel absolutely flat and ready. One of the reasons that we did this, we love to do the work and love the restoration and the outcome, but we're sharing it too. So as a way to communicate that you can take these things on. It's something that you want to plan for, and you want to know what you're getting into. Do it eyes wide open, and yet you can watch other painting videos online. There's just any number of ways that you can get schooled on this, and then go practice on a panel or do something so that you get some confidence, and then it's just a matter of diving in. I remember the first time I took a gun in hand and started painting a panel. It was scary as hell.
Oh my gosh!
Man, I can really screw this up, and this is expensive if you screw it up.
I mean, just priming that one trunk deck, and priming's super forgiving, but for me, priming that trunk deck, I was my hand was nervous, I was scared to pull the trigger at first, and then it's just committing, and it came out great. So I totally agree. It's just, you do your research, your planning, and you think out your process, and then at some point you just go for it and you just gotta send it.
So that's proof positive that you can take a car that's a couple steps from the crusher and rotted out and looking like hell and needing a lot of work, and piece by piece, step by step, month after month, plod your way through it, and you can complete it and get it done and make it look, I think, better than new.
All right, folks, that's gonna do it for us. That's pretty much all we got for today. We really appreciate you sticking along. To those who stuck through the entire 25 minutes, kudos to you. You guys are badasses. So, but we really appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed all that footage and learned something. If you have any questions or comments about what we did there, or questions about the paint or technique, leave it down below and let us know what you think, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos on this project and other projects we have going on at Underdog Garage. So thanks again, folks, for watching. Have fun, and we will see you next time.